to the webinar today. So I think let's get going. We've got an hour today. So as usual, just a little introduction about myself. I am the founder and director of Fundamental Project Management. I do have over 15 years of experience in both program and project management. I've managed numerous large successful projects across various industries, such as financial services, telecommunications, and also the retail sectors of South Africa. The journey in project management has definitely provided me with some invaluable experience along my career path. I've held many roles across my career, such as process engineering, business analyst, project manager, and also program manager. This is a career that has actually provided me a lot of joy for many years, and therefore I'd like to share my experience as well as guide project managers also on their career paths. Along the years, I've also obtained many certifications. I've got my PMP, which is the Program Management Professional Certification, the PMP, which is your Project Management Professional Certification. And I'm also Disciplined Agile Scrum Master as well as Senior Scrum Master. I'm also authorized training instructor for PMI for both the PMP as well as the CAPM exams. Okay, so in this session, we're going to talk about how to clear the CAPM and the PMP exam in your first attempt. So some key takeaways, as usual, we will do a recap or refresher of the last session. We'll talk about what you need to do to earn your CAPM and PMP credential, how to check if you are ready for the exam, some test taking suggestions, also a little bit in terms of how to stay positive and pass your exam on the first attempt, some sample exam-like questions, which we've done in our previous sessions. We'll continue that. Also frequently asked questions that I get, just to share that with everyone, and then also give you a little snippet of what's to come, so the upcoming session. Okay, so moving on to our recap. So in the last session, we talked about Waterfall versus Agile projects. We noted the differences between them. So just to go over that again today, for your Waterfall projects, they are very detailed long-term project plans that has a single timeline. It follows quite a definitive and rigid project management structure as well as the roles. Any changes in the deliverables are discouraged, and it's normally quite costly. The fully completed product is only delivered at the end of your timeline, okay? And your customer is only typically involved in the beginning of the project when you're doing your requirements, and then at the end of the project where they come through to test that the requirements have been met. So it does follow quite a linear phased approach, okay? And then there's dependencies between the phases. So that's typically, the characteristics of a waterfall project. So if we move on and we look at our agile projects, they are shorter planning. It's based on iterations, and you will have multiple deliveries along the course. It is quite a flexible project. You have a cross-functional team. Changes in the deliverables in this type of project are expected. They generally have less impact. The product will be delivered in functional stages. There's collaboration and interaction also with your customer throughout the journey of the project. And because of that concurrent approach, you do reduce a lot of dependencies that you would have in your waterfall projects. Okay, so if we look at then the waterfall, agile, and hybrid, they are definitely different methodologies, and these are suited for different types of projects. So if you have a project that you clearly understand the outcomes from the beginning, then you can use a waterfall approach that would be the best fit for that type of project. Waterfall is definitely a better method when the project has some strict regulations that it needs to meet, because it has a well-defined list of deliverables for each phase, and you would need to deliver those before proceeding to the next phase or the next deliverable. If you look at the Agile project, these are better suited for teams where you plan on moving fast, you want to experiment with your direction, and you don't know how the project will look before you start. Agile is definitely more flexible. It does require quite a collaborative and a self-motivating team. Plus, you will have frequent check-ins with the business owners and the stakeholders about the progress and also then the direction of the project. And in the middle there, you will see hybrid. Okay, this is also a technique where the high-level project phases can be planned using the waterfall approach, and the work that is done on each of the phases, so the actual tasks, they can be done in an agile way. So this type of projects actually make up the largest percentage of projects that normally exist in project environments, for the mere fact that currently you would want to understand where your project would land. So for senior managers and management in your organizations, and then the way you achieve that, with your teams is more an agile way of working. So the combination of then both the waterfall and agile makes up the hybrid projects. And achieving this combo is not easy. Okay, it's not an easy task, and therefore you do need to make sure that certain conventions and guidelines are established for your project in terms of how those are going to be combined. Okay, so the last time we also looked at the benefits of the PMP in your international market. We know that from different studies, especially the recent one that was conducted by Anderson Economic Group, who looked at the career growth for project managers. The study estimated a growth of about 33%, which is nearly 22 million jobs through to 2027. And then if we look on to 2027, employers will need nearly about 88 million individuals in project management orientated roles. Because there is high demand, that means that there will be more opportunities for project managers to be able to advance their career and therefore then earn more money as a result of it. You will also be recognized as an experienced professional. So the PMP certification is universally recognized. It's a symbol of excellence in the field. The type of certification is global in nature, meaning that the skills required can translate across all industries and projects and countries. The PMP certification will also add to your value in the market. Okay, so you also get to speak the right language. So in any project, communication is definitely the key. Your PMP certification will signal that you can speak a common language, which is essential for good communication on any project. It's likely that you will manage many different kinds of projects in your career. You will also have to work with many different teams. And if you can speak a common business language, that means that you can ensure that everyone stays on the same page, which is critical for the delivery of any project. Okay, you will learn new skills. So the PMP certification will open up avenues to learn new skills that is going to enhance your knowledge and opportunities for career growth. Okay. You will probably also earn more money. So if we look at the global surveys that are done, so Global Knowledge IT and also the salary report, the average North American IT professional, they earn about roughly about $110,000 annually. If you look at somebody in the same market who holds a PMP certification, they earn roughly about $130,000. So that's nearly 18% above the mean. Okay. So you will also demonstrate your dedication to the field. The certification will mean that you are dedicated to improving your knowledge, your skills, your credentials, and it will translate to respect from employers, your peers, team members, and also any clients that you work for. Okay, we also discussed the last time the benefits of Agile in project management. So Agile is a mindset that will influence how you choose to think and act. Okay, so as an Agilist, we choose to accelerate value realization by embracing any worthwhile changes that come through. We want to delight our customers by taking a more customer-centric view of our work. You want to improve the group capability by proactively collaborating instead of working in the functional silos that we did previously. We want to improve the predictability by refining our understanding then of what is needed through regularly showing our work and then acting on the feedback that it comes from those meetings. We also want to optimize the flow by working on small items instead of big items, because big things are usually accomplished incrementally as a series of lots of small things. Okay. You also want to limit the amount of work in progress because it does make it easier to identify inefficiencies in a team's workflow. Okay, so you have the opportunity to resolve that. You also want to improve continuously by frequently learning from your experiences and evolving practices based on what we learned. So that definitely comes stemming from retrospectives that are held as part of the project. Okay, so both the CAPM as well as the PMP exam, it does require a significant amount of time and effort. So taking on these certifications, you do need to be prepared for the journey. And in order to do that, the first point would be to try to understand the format of the exam. So the CAPM exam will comprise of 160 questions and you have 230 minutes to answer those. The PMP exam, it comprises of 180 questions and there's 230 minutes that are allocated. So on the slide, you will also see the books that are important, right? So for the PMP exam, we note the PMBOK 7th edition. This book will contain the principles, the practices, and also all the project management techniques. It is quite general in nature. It talks to all types of methodologies. So don't spend too much of time reviewing the book, as the exam, it does focus more on agile, predictive, and then the hybrid models of project management. Then we've also got the Agile Practice Guide. So this book is going to teach you all of the Agile practices that you need to know. So you do need to spend time understanding and studying that book. We've also got Process Groups, a practice guide. So this book will provide you with the information on the 49 predictive processes. So you do need to spend time understanding and studying this book. Okay, if we move on to the CAPM exam, we have there once again the PMBOK 7th edition. Okay, and you've also got an additional book now for the exam, which is the business analysis from PMI. So you do need to spend time understanding and studying this book, as it does make up a largest portion of the exam. Okay, and you've also got the Agile practice guide there as well. So what do you need to do to earn these certifications? Okay, firstly, you do need to reach out to any accomplished subject matter experts and professionals in project management realm. You can find them on LinkedIn. You can do, the reason why you would want to do this is you can use that as an opportunity to clarify any doubts that you have with people that are already skilled in the field. You can also watch and read the lessons learned and also the success stories from existing CAPMs and PMPs, because you learn a lot from watching those videos. Also, different strategies that were used in terms of passing the exam can also be learned through those videos. You do need to choose the right trainer and the mentor. It's very important, that you have a person that is going to back you the full way until you pass the exam. Engage with the right study group for exam prep. So make sure that the group that you are choosing has similar aims to you and also similar motivations, so that you are able to gain benefit from the group and able to work well within the group. When taking the exam, you need to walk into the exam center with confidence. Okay, there will be naturally a small amount of stress, but try to keep that under control. Also, don't panic when you see things that that will perhaps feel like stumbling blocks in achieving the success rate that you need. So how do you check if you are ready for the exam? Okay, firstly, you need to make sure that you do mock or practice exams. You need to simulate your exam-like conditions. And the reason you'd want to do this is to use this as a check. So you can check the pace that you need to use to be able to complete the exam. You can also build your personal strategy to take the exam by going through this scenario multiple times. So I normally say you would need to do this at least 3 or 4 times so that you, go through that experience and understand how you're going to keep yourself on track. So you will need to use only your reputed question banks, okay, because in order to be efficient with your preparation, you do need to make sure that while you're looking through the question banks and doing them, you're actually doing the right ones, okay? Don't just use the free content. The reason for that is because it might not give you as much of the benefit that you need to be able to pass the exam. It will help initially, but might not take you the full way, okay, to getting well prepared for the exam. Then consistency in the score of the mock exam. So make sure you are scoring quite well, between 70 and 80%, okay, so that you stand a better chance when you get into the exam to passing it. So those are the steps or the checkpoints that you need to take just to make sure that you are ready. Then in terms of your test taking suggestions, so some things that I'd like to share. So firstly, you need to make sure that you're using your time wisely. Make sure or try to keep a track of how many questions you need to answer in a specific amount of time. So my suggestion will be to take 30-minute interval checkpoints. So know how many questions you need to answer by then. Make sure that you are ahead of time, or if not, then in the next 30 minutes you need to work a bit quicker. Okay. So read each question carefully and thoroughly, okay, so that you are able to choose the right answer. Also, when you are looking through your answers, even if you think that you've read the first answer and you feel that this is correct, please make sure that you read all of the choices before choosing the answer, because there could be an answer that is more correct than the one that you have chosen. Okay. Then look through and also confirm your answer. So if you come across a question and you don't really know this one or don't know how to answer it, don't spend too much of time on it. So if you are stumped, just choose your best guess, mark it for later and move on. So you do have the ability to mark questions for later, and you will be able to see them quite easily so that you can go and review just those questions, right, in the exam when you're reviewing them, your answers. Okay, so please remember you only have 4 hours, okay? So it's 240 minutes. And that means that there is under a minute and a half per question. Okay, so you do need to work at a good pace for the exam. So if you don't know the answer as mentioned, guess and then review it later. Okay. So these are some of the suggestions for when you are in the room taking the exam. Okay. So staying positive. Staying positive is definitely something that is required. You need to be able to make sure that you have the right mindset when you enter the exam. So firstly, in order to gain that and to gain the confidence, you do need to study hard and prepare to the best of your ability. The day before the exam, most people would like to cram everything that they can before. I would suggest taking a rest day. Make sure you get enough rest before the exam. Okay, I would even suggest taking the day off, giving yourself the break, making sure that you are well rested before taking the exam. Okay, select a good mentor. So a good mentor is normally normally comes from a PMI, authorized training partner, an authorized training instructor, so somebody like myself. And the reason for this is just that, you know, if you are an authorized training partner instructor, you do get a lot of information from PMI that keeps you quite up to date and relevant in terms of all of the information that you need to pass along to your students, right? So these people here will be the most aligned to PMI. So you want to get, you know, the best person to be able to help you on your journey. Then you do need to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. So you will find this once you do a few mock exams. So you'll be able to identify your weaknesses. So once you identify them, then you do need to do a little bit more work on them so that your weak areas then become stronger, right? So there's a good balance. Then maintaining also your work-study life balance. And this is quite important. It's quite important because the journey for a PMP exam is actually not a sprint. It's not something that you start today and you finish tomorrow. Okay, it's not that type of journey. I sort of consider this more to be a marathon, right? So you need to be able to fuel yourself to be able to get to a longer term journey. And that's why the work-life balance is quite important, so that you don't burn out during the journey, right? You are still sort of on track and can make your date in good shape. Okay. So you also need to understand the tasks from the ECO. And the reason for this is all questions on the exam stems from the ECO. So if you are able to go through each of the items on the ECO, you find that you understand each of the points fully, then you will be well prepared for the questions that come in the exam. So you need to read all of the books that we have mentioned on the earlier slides, word by word, and also any key reference books that are referenced. okay? And the reason why I'm stipulating here word by word, okay, is the exam is definitely all about your understanding. It is not about any sort of regurgitation of any theory, okay? So it is very practical in its nature, and therefore reading the book word by word, understanding what's written there will actually take you a long way, okay? As mentioned previously, make sure you build your exam strategy. So this will be very personal to yourself, because not everyone makes the same types of mistakes. Not everyone has the same weaknesses. So everyone is quite individual in nature, okay? And so by you doing those mock exams, at least 4 of them, you will very easily be able to build your exam strategy. Also make sure you have the checkpoints, 30-minute interval checkpoints as mentioned, okay? So lastly, please don't panic. Keep focused, work hard, okay? On the exam day, you need to stay calm, focused, and read the questions carefully. Normally when people enter the exam and then they see the first question and it is not something that they have anticipated or something that they thought would come, they get really nervous and they start to panic already. So if you see that, don't worry. Look through it, do your best guess, move on. You'll probably find that the questions thereafter is more sort of in line to the work that you've done already. So remaining calm is the only way that you're going to be able to choose the right answers logically. Okay. So now if we do our sample exam like questions as we do, I'll give you a couple of seconds to be able to answer the questions. So the first question is, a project has an earned value of $130,000 and an actual cost of $120,000, then what is the cost variance? Okay, so the answer is 10,000 US dollars. And how do we get to that answer? So to calculate your cost variance, the formula is your cost variance is your earned value minus your actual costs. So that will be 130,000 minus 120,000, which is going to give you a cost variance then of 10,000 US dollars. Okay. In this case, since the earned value is greater than the actual cost, your cost variance is positive. And when you have a positive cost variance, this means that the project is under budget, which is good for your project. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So a project manager notices a software engineer has added a new feature without prior approval because he believes it will enhance the product. This is an example of either A, proactive risk mitigation, B, gold plating, C, approved scope alteration, or D, contingency planning. Okay, so this is an example of gold plating. Okay, so gold plating is the act of adding any new features of enhancements to a project without prior approval from the customer or any change control processes. Okay, so in this scenario, the software engineer added a new feature because believing that it would enhance the product, but it was not requested or it wasn't approved. So this does align with the concept then of gold plating, where team members will add features with very good intention to improve the deliverable without considering the impact on the schedule or the cost of the project. So that is from one of the reference books also. Okay. So next question. A business analyst is facilitating discussions with stakeholders to negotiate and confirm which requirements should be incorporated within an iteration, a release, or project. Which process does this typically represent? Okay, is it A, establish relationships and dependencies? B, determine the traceability and the monitoring approach? C, select and approve requirements? Or D, manage changes to requirements and other product information? So it is select and approve requirements. Okay, so this is a process for facilitating discussions with the stakeholders where you would negotiate and confirm the requirements which should be incorporated either in an iteration, the release, or the project. Okay, and this is from the PM Guide to Business Analysis reference book. And it's also from Task 3 Business Analysis Framework domain, just for reference purposes. Okay. Next question. A project manager is estimating costs for a new project. They decide to use historical data from a similar activity or project to make their estimates. Which of the following techniques is the project manager using? Are they using A, analogous estimating, B, parametric estimating, C, single point estimating, or D, story point estimating? Answer is A, analogous estimating. So this is also known as your top-down estimating. It involves using any historical data from a similar activity or a project as the basis for estimating costs on your project. Okay. Thank you. And also, it is also commonly used where there is limited detailed information available for your current project. So it relies on similarities, between previous projects and the current project to be able to estimate. Okay, so next question. A trend of stories is incomplete, and this becomes apparent at the end of iterations. Several team members worked on the stories and no blockers were identified. How can the Agile team resolve the situation? Can they A, put the stories back into the product backlog and wait for a less intense iteration to work on them? B, use the next iteration for a team spike to determine the feasibility of completing the stories? C, put the stories in a blocked column and work with the product owner to remove impediments? And D, work with the product owner to further break down the stories in the backlog and update the definition of ready? Okay, so the answer is D. Okay, so the explanation there is that stories won't be able to be completed, or if they cannot be completed within the one iteration, it is typically because the story is not broken down into small enough goals. That means that it was too large to work on. So you could actually break it down into smaller pieces of work that can be taken on in the upcoming sprints. So next question. A project manager is visiting a software supplier's office. Some of the sites are surprising. 2 people per workstation, estimation based on a deck of cards, developers forcing their tests to fail, and routines with names such as traffic cop and ringleader. What could explain these practices? A, the servant leader has granted the team too much of freedom. Okay. B, the supplier has adopted extreme programming methods. C, the supplier appears to be conducting gaming training sessions. And D, the project manager happened to visit during a team building exercise. Okay, so you're welcome to lock in your answers. So the answer there is B, the supplier has adopted extreme programming methods. So in extreme programming, your practices include things like pair programming. So you'll find 2 developers per workstation. You also have planning poker, which is how you're going to estimate your stories. So therefore the deck of cards that you see in the question. And also test first programming, so where developers then try to break the code or make the test fail. Yeah, so all of these then mean that the supplier has adopted or is working with extreme programming methods. Okay, so next question. A project is in the execution stage. Based on the originally approved blueprint, 1,000 products were developed. The project team randomly chooses 100 products to evaluate against the quality plan. What is the project team undertaking? Are they undertaking A, control procurement, B, statistical sampling, C, process audit, or D, quality assurance? You're welcome to ping me your answers. So the answer here is statistical sampling. So statistical sampling will involve choosing part of the population, so part of or a sample, which is better. So a sample of the product that you have created, so a couple of them. So in our instance, it's 100 products out of the 1,000 that was manufactured. So they will take that and do then some control measures or the samples. So things that have been documented in your quality management plan or your processes, you will be able to then evaluate those 10 products to make sure that they meet the quality standards that you are looking for. Okay, next question. A project's workload is increasing significantly and the resource level is not sufficient. In response, management outsources some major tasks to keep the project on schedule. What should the project manager do in this scenario? Is it A, review the communications management plan, B, escalate to the project sponsor, C, revise the procurement management plan, or D, revise the organizational chart? Okay, you're welcome to ping me your answers. The answer is revise the procurement management plan. So in this instance, the procurement management plan needs to be updated because it will capture the processes of the project's procurement decisions. Okay. Yeah, and it also does specify like your approach and how you're going to approach and identify potential sellers. So in this process, you're going to determine whether you're going to acquire the goods and services from outside the project. And then if you're going to do that, what are you going to acquire as well as how and when to acquire it. So in here, because you have decided to outsource some of the major tasks, you would need to go back and look at your procurement management plan and revise any of the items there. So that's the best answer out of the questions. Okay, so moving on to our frequently asked questions section. So what is changing in the PMP exam? Okay, so there has been a exam update that has stemmed or come into play from the 25th of September. So, you know, for a few days now, it has been implemented. So just to take you through it, if you look at the first section, which is the result notification, previously, when you wrote your exam, you would then have your instant results. So you'd go to the end of the exam, either when the time sort of reached its end, or you clicked the submit button, usually before that time, you would then be presented your results quite instantly onto the screen. Okay. Now, what PMI has implemented is that they have said that within 5 business days of the time that you will write the exam, that's when you're actually going to get your results. So you're not going to get it immediately as before. You will need to write your exam and then wait for that communication from PMI to deliver your score. Okay. Also, from a data forensics and a security perspective, previously PMI used data forensics to detect misconduct, and then if misconduct was found, then your exam was invalidated. Okay. Now PMI has introduced enhanced data forensics. So if misconduct is found, the exam then is considered a security failure. You will receive a mail from PMI stating that your score has been cancelled if, you know, a security failure has been found. In terms of your retake policy, previously, if your exam was invalidated, you could retake the exam. Okay, it would have been free of charge. You could do this either in person or online. Now, candidates who then receive that security failure, they will only be able to retake the exam in person, and that will be at their own cost. So this means that security failures now do count towards the 3 attempts that you have to pass the exam. Okay, so normally the first, you know, you pay the first, or any other attempts you pay for. So it's the sort of along the similar lines. And to give you a little bit of information as to why PMI decided to go this route is PMI has decided to enhance the data forensics and the security policies to ensure that the PMP exam, it still remains the gold standard in the project management certification. Okay, it's all about maintaining the credibility and the integrity, and it's definitely something that we value and you will value once you pass your certifications. Okay, so therefore you become part of the elite group. Okay, so that in a nutshell is what has, you know, what has changed in the exam or any other changes. So next up, how to build your project management experience. So to build the experience, you do need to ensure that your goals are documented in your personal development plan. It's normally done as part of the yearly review process with your manager. And I suggest you put that in there because it will give the visibility to your management line, so your manager and anybody in your chain of command, that you are keen to get project management experience. You can also look for opportunities that you can assist with. So even if there are stretch assignments to prove to yourself, and a stretch assignment is normally saying that I've got my role and I will do my role to the best of my ability, and then I'm going to take this in addition, right, to what I do on a daily basis. And so, you know, you can look for those opportunities so that you get that experience that you need. Okay, and then do a good job at whatever lands on your plate, and also take the opportunities, right? And they will open the doors for you and offer you other opportunities. And by taking each opportunity at a time, you will start gaining the necessary experience that you need. And next question, how to land opportunities in agile roles. Okay. So you can seek to gain knowledge in Agile. There's Agile certifications that can be pursued so that you can demonstrate your knowledge, also commitment to the methodologies. You can also seek to develop your skills by contributing to any Agile projects within your organization. Once you have gained the necessary knowledge and skills, you can use your CV, covering letter, also your online profile to highlight Agile abilities. You can also join any Agile community groups and conferences so that you get to learn and network with other Agile professionals. And this network then can help you gain the new connections and the opportunities that you are looking for. Okay, so next up, what is velocity? How do you track it? And how are velocity points determined? Okay. So velocity is the number of story points that a team can complete during an iteration. The goal for any team is to achieve a constant velocity from one iteration to the next. Velocity is something that can be tracked in something like a velocity chart, which you can see on the slide. And you plot your number of story points, okay, on one axis, which is your y-axis, versus the iterations that you are doing, or in this case, they've just placed the dates where the iterations would end, okay? And then you would just count the number of stories that you have successfully completed. That means that the customer is happy with, you've met the definition of done. You would then, you know, calculate all of those points, add them up together, and then create this chart. So what other certificates, badges, or qualifications complement the PMP award or certification? So in addition to the PMP certification, you do have various Agile certifications that can be pursued, namely your certified Scrum Master, so that's quite popular. We've also got a nice offering from PMI, which is your disciplined Agile Scrum Master, gaining a lot of momentum there. And also the certified practitioner, so your PMI ACP, so that's the Agile offerings. Then you can also, if you want to get expertise in a particular area that you'd like to focus on, there's also your scheduling professional, which is your PMI SP, and also risk management professional. Okay, so those are some of the other certifications that you can take. So differentiating the project manager from the PMO. So it should be noted that the project manager and the project management office, or PMO, are two roles in your project management team. Okay, the project manager, they will focus on the planning, executing, and delivering the projects on time, within budget, according to scope, and to the right level of quality. Okay, so that's what the project manager will focus on. But the PMO's responsibility is to maintain the organization's project management standards, the processes that needs to be used, as well as ensuring governance to those processes. The role will also focus on standardization of those processes across the projects, right? So the focus of the two roles are quite different, but both contributing quite well to the project management field. Okay, so then just a little snippet of our next session. So we've got our next session, which is session number 6. So we're going to cover what you need to study, okay, and also some PMBOK based questions. So if you look at our draft agenda so far, we've got, as usual, we normally do a refresher. So I'll refresh what we've covered in this section. We'll go through what you need to study, some PMBOK based questions, so what you need to focus on, also some different approaches here, agile, hybrid, predictive, agnostic, some business analysis Q&A approaches. We'll do sample exam-like questions like what we've done in this session, frequently asked questions that people normally ask, as well as a little snippet of what's going to come in the next session. Okay, so just letting you know, there are 3 sessions left in this series. So please mark this in your calendar, and I'd love to see you in the next session, which is on the 15th of November. Okay, so take care, good luck with your preparations, and I will see you then. Thank you.